coming closer. What if it crashes? I stare frozen. No, it's stopping. It's watching us. The teacher waves us back. Everyone away. Don't approach it. My breath catches. It's right there. It's real. Jenny's grip tightens. It's looking at us. Her voice drops to a whisper. I can feel it watching. It was a crisp morning in April 1966 when the world I knew changed forever. I was 13 years old, sitting in class at Westall High School in Melbourne, fidgeting with a pencil while my teacher explained something about algebra that my restless mind couldn't focus on. Outside, the sky looked unusually clear, too bright, almost electric. I remember glancing out the window, and that's when it started. A sudden commotion broke out near the oval. A few kids pointed upward, faces pressed against the glass. Then someone yelled, "Look!" "What's that?" Our teacher frowned. "Everyone, settle down," she said. But curiosity spread through the classroom like fire through dry grass. I looked up and saw it, something metallic glinting in the sky, moving silently, smoothly, and fast. It wasn't an airplane. It wasn't a balloon. It was unlike anything I had ever seen. Within seconds, the entire class was on its feet. My heart pounded as we rushed outside, squinting into the morning light. Over the schoolyard, hovering above the trees, was a silver disc. It moved in a slow, deliberate way, then tilted and darted across the sky with impossible speed. I could hear gasps, cries, and whispers all around me. "Is that a plane?" my friend Jenny asked, clutching my arm. "No," I whispered. "Planes don't move like that." Then another voice shouted from behind us, "There's two of them." We turned toward the field beyond the school. Sure enough, a second craft shimmered in the distance, just above the power lines. The two objects seemed to dance around each other in eerie coordination, stopping and starting with perfect control. Before anyone could make sense of it, one of the discs dipped lower, almost brushing the treetops behind the school. Then, without warning, it descended fast toward a grassy paddock near the old Grange Reserve. Kids screamed. Teachers shouted for everyone to stay back, but dozens of us were already running toward the field. "Stay with me," I yelled to Jenny as we sprinted down the hill, our shoes kicking up dirt. A group of students was already ahead of us, pointing and shouting. When we reached the edge of the reserve, I saw it clearly. Something metallic, saucer-shaped, sitting silently in the grass. It wasn't large, maybe the size of a small car. It didn't have any markings, wings, or windows that I could see. It just hovered there, about a foot above the ground, perfectly still and absolutely silent. For a few seconds, no one said a word. Then I heard someone mutter, "It's real." I took a step forward, but a teacher grabbed my shoulder. "Back," she barked. "Everyone back." The object suddenly tilted, spun once, and shot straight up into the sky, so fast it vanished in the blink of an eye. A rush of wind followed, knocking hats and papers into the air. We all stood there, mouths open, staring at the empty space it left behind. And then, just as quickly as it had gone, 3 small aircraft appeared in the sky, heading toward the same direction. They looked like military planes, darting around in formation. "They're chasing it!" someone shouted. I'll never forget the sound of those engines roaring overhead, slicing through the strange silence that had hung over us moments before. When the bell rang, I ran home to tell my parents. My mother laughed nervously, thinking it was a prank. My father just frowned and said, "Probably some military exercise." But when he saw how shaken I was, he grew quiet. The next morning we returned to school expecting reporters, scientists, anyone to be there. But instead we saw something far more unsettling. The area where the craft had landed was now taped off. Men in dark suits were walking the field, measuring, taking samples, and writing notes. Military vehicles were parked near the edge of the reserve. And the strangest part, some of the teachers acted like nothing had happened. "Good morning, class," our teacher said cheerfully, as if the world hadn't turned upside down the day before. Jenny leaned over to me and whispered, "Did they tell her not to talk about it?" But during lunch, one of the older boys, Gavin, came running toward a crowd near the fence. "They're covering it up," he yelled. "There's a big burnt patch where it landed, but they're saying it was just a weather balloon." Everyone ran to see. Sure enough, the grass where the object had rested was scorched in a perfect circle. The air still smelled faintly metallic. I picked up a small piece of blackened grass and held it in my hand. It crumbled instantly. "Don't touch that!" one of the suited men shouted, waving us back. His accent wasn't local, too clipped, too official. He pointed at us. "You kids didn't see anything. Do you understand?" His tone was calm, but his eyes were sharp and cold. That night I couldn't sleep. The image of that silver craft replayed endlessly in my mind. The way it hovered so still, the sudden blur when it vanished, the soundless hum that vibrated in my chest. Jenny called me from her family's rotary phone. "You saw it too, right?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I did," I said softly. "We all did." "Then why are they saying nothing happened?" I didn't know, but deep down, I felt something was being buried. Over the next few days, strange things continued happening. Several students who had been closest to the landing site were called into private meetings with officials. A week later, I went back to the reserve alone. The burnt circle was still faintly visible. Birds avoided the area. When I stepped closer, I noticed something small, half buried in the soil, a piece of metal, smooth and oddly warm to the touch, even though it was a cool day. I slipped it into my pocket, my heart racing. It was lightweight but solid, like nothing I'd ever held before. That night, I hid it under my bed. I never told anyone about it. Years passed, and life moved on. But that day, April 6th, 1966, never left me. It became a quiet obsession, a memory that glowed brighter the older I got. Some of my classmates still refused to talk about it. Others insisted we had all imagined it, but I knew better. Decades later, I returned to Westall for a small reunion. Many of us who had been there gathered near the same field. The grass had grown back, and the trees were taller, but standing there, I could almost feel the air hum again. Jenny was there too. Her hair had gone gray, but her eyes were still sharp. She smiled when she saw me. "You still remember?" she asked. "Every second," I said. She nodded toward the sky. "So do I, and I still don't think it was from here." That night, I took the small metal fragment from the drawer where I'd kept it all those years. It hadn't rusted. It hadn't aged. It still felt faintly warm in my palm. Sometimes I wonder why it came to us, to a schoolyard full of kids in suburban Australia. Whatever the truth, I'll never forget that shining disc above Westall, that impossible motion, that deafening silence. We were just children, but we witnessed something extraordinary, something the world still isn't ready to admit. And every time I look up at the stars now, I still ask the same question that echoed in my head that day. What did we really see? Because deep down, I already know the answer. It wasn't a balloon. It wasn't a plane. It was them. Thank you for watching UFO Stories. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one.